Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, sincerest apologies for that breaking transmission. Before we went on that break, Mr. Tar was expressing himself on some issues, and
yes,
I think that would be
so
his final thoughts for tonight.
Yeah, I think I should just give the final thoughts.
Yes, please.
Comrade Akombe, are you connected now?
I am, yes.
Yes, we can
just
see
about
him
hear
as
you.
well.
Perfect. I just would like to ensure that home front is following up, and I really wish home front doesn't miss. There's a lot of people started calling again. What's happening is nice. We want you to come back. So everybody's watching us now. I believe the home front is watching. Okay, thank you very much for staying. Think this is done by science. Let me not use a white man like our parents in those days. And it's always possible that we may have interruptions. I was just adding up to what you said by saying that we are an endangered species. The people of Amazonia are an endangered people, but there is an accommodation of that or a protective coverage in law, international law. Even though we understand that some of the constitutions in Africa, particularly in the Cameroons, is not it. We have seen Cameroon despising national law, targeting to defeat us, because if we are defeated in this war by international law, we are owned by them, and the discussion for the restoration of our independence may not even feature again. We do not want to give that to our progenies for anything in the world. So why do I really think that we are an endangered species? I was citing an example of September 22nd, 2017. Our people, our mothers, our brothers and sisters. At the time, I was a freelancer. I was doing business between Yaoundé, Douala, and Nigeria. And we sat and watched how they provoked us on TV 7 or 10 days after they had killed 400 Ambazonians. Why? Because they had to pick up peace plans to peacefully protest. No one had weapons. Nobody had weapons. They killed them, they wiped them out. We've seen a few weeks after that, they went and roasted Mami Api like chicken in a house. Roasted. They have razed down 500 villages. Right now, anyone seeking to restore the integrity of Amazonia is in danger. You're either in prison or you're bulleted. If not, how do you explain that we have Amazonians who have been condemned for life imprisonment, whereas what they're advocating for is backed by the UN resolutions that are legally binding? Resolution 1608XV should be respected. I was listening to Barrister Mbehi Sahel yesterday, and he said outrightly that once the resolution is passed, all the articles in it are valid. So why do you want to dismiss or despise certain clauses? And like you said, this is my final discussion. I'll conclude by saying that tomorrow we will expand. I hope my elder brother uh, will create the time to join us tomorrow so we can make it for we will talk about constitutionality and legality of what the processes within the interim government is when it comes to because we, like I said, always inform our people on the status quo and make them to get clarity. We'll also unveil the lies that the Coopers are doing and trying to manipulate them, and how Cameroon is paying them to do all of what they are doing now. So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. And that subject will be done justice. I hope to have the House Speaker to come in for about 30 minutes in the beginning to tell us some of the things that happen in the Defunct Restoration Council. It's very important that we get this discussion across the board. So we are going to have all of this discussion tomorrow, and you will definitely enjoy it. I repeat again, UN, Nelson Ochiba, and War Child, and most probably the House Speaker. I'm officially inviting Comrade Ayon to be with us tomorrow. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Paddy. Mr. Akambe, I believe you have some final words to say to Ambazonians that have been watching. You've said so many wise things today. I mean, initially I thought I decided to give you a title, Professor, because of the kind of wisdom that came out of you. And then the next thing, more like a security strategist. Well, let's have those final words for Ambazonians before you go.
Okay. First of all, we need to thank I would like to thank all the Ambazonians for actually fighting against La Republique. It's very easy to just run away and conform, but the fact that you've actually fought them for 5 years, I don't know if it's exactly 5 years now, that by itself, they have respect for you. People don't respect you when you surrender. People respect you when they realize they can't beat you. I know that when I go through all the different counties, I still hear the same forces still in those places. Bui County, Manu, and all these places. I'm hearing things going on in Fako. I'm still hearing generals shouting. They are still fighting. This is 5 years down the line, 4 to 5 years. They are still fighting. That is the reason why you have not suffered genocide. If you did not fight, I guarantee you one of the biggest genocide in this world would have happened to Southern Cameroonians. You go to, according to Seseko, there's a place in Sao in the eastern east, I don't know how you call it, province, where it's a big burial ground for Southern Cameroonians. The one they just carried and killed and buried them there. Okay, in mass graves. If you did not fight, these people would not have respected you. But the fact that the Southern Cameroonians have fought these people for 4 to 5 years, kudos to them. Please don't pay. You can tell easily when somebody is a complete waste of space. You just listen to him. After 30 minutes, just ignore him. I started off listening to Akwanga. When he started talking madness, I just left him. Eric Tato, I listened to him. When he started just coming out and criticizing people all the time, not coming out with any new ideas, that is not helping Southern Cameroonians. If you're not saying something which is actually going to save us from this impending genocide, I'm not interested in you. The people, the Southern Cameroonians who have stood up and fought La Republique, kudos to them. The future of Southern Cameroon is to continue to resist. That is it. The people who are collecting money, they're doing a fantastic job. I know there's some people who are scamming and causing problems. We are in such an emergency that you just have to put that under the carpet, sweep it under the carpet. This man is a crook. Forget about that man, but move on, because La Republique, their eyes are on the price. They can see oil coming out of Southern Cameroon. They can see timber. They can see rubber. They can see what they want. They can see control of the people. They want us to be their slaves. So by continuously resisting them, which is what you guys don't be bought out with all these their tricks. You have to continue to resist them. You are already winning. We had the dialogue, the Grand National Dialogue. That did not come because we surrendered. It came when you had Amba boys fighting. That is when they decided to talk about national dialogue. They are talking about regional house of parliament, this and that. Those things have come because of the Ambazonian restoration forces. Don't mind what people are saying, criticizing the Amba boys for stealing and things like that. At the end of the day, all the changes, please make a note of this, all the changes that have happened today in La République du Cameroon is down to the Amba boys. They might not get credit for it, but it's them.
Indeed.
And they should continue to resist La République du Cameroon. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akambe. It was really a pleasure having you here tonight on Undaunted with us. Onyi.
Yes, and we hope to have you some other time. It seems you have a lot of history up your sleeve, so we would like to have you another time, Mr. Akumbe. And also thank you, Mr. Chai. Thank you for always making yourself available for us here. Well, coming up next is the editorial, but that's after this break.
In our editorial of today, we bring to you an article from Reverend Friar Charles Luanga Augustino Maria of the Cross. Mola Charles Lionga Lamatute, who is a religious philosopher, poet, jurist, and political scientist, Southern Cameroonian, Ambazonian, Roman Catholic missionary, and an Ambazonian born. Interestingly, the caption of his article is a question that we've been asking here on Undaunted. Can there be peace without justice? Justice delayed is justice denied. There can be no justice without truth. You cannot be praying for peace and at the same time reasoning with the oppressor. A law of limitation allows room for a case to be prosecuted within a limited period of time. Failing to prosecute within the set time will amount to the right to prosecute expiring. The Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace, Justitia et Pax, was a dicastery of the Roman Curia dedicated to action-oriented studies for the international promotion of justice, peace, and human rights from the perspective of the Roman Catholic Church. To this end, it cooperates with various religious institutes and advocacy groups, as well as scholarly, ecumenical, and international organizations. Among its reference works is the Compendium of the Social Doctrine of the Church. Effective 1st January 2017, the work of the Council was assumed by the dicastery for promoting integral human development, and Cardinal Peter Turkson became prefect of the dicastery. Aristotle's dictum that true prudence cannot exist without the moral virtues, and that the latter cannot exist without prudence, their director finds it experimental proof in the life of the just man. Prudence, in truth, is the caryatier of the virtues, the right way of doing things. The principal reason for this connection of the virtues is each person considers that end agreeable which is in harmony with his affections. The ambitious man finds agreeable whatever is favorable to his ambition, and the mild man whatever is conformable with mildness. In practice, each person judges according to his own inclinations of will and emotion. If therefore these inclinations are not rectified by virtues, the practical judgment will not be right. At times, this judgment may appear prudent because of a certain perspicacity, expertness, or astuteness, but it will not be truly prudent because in it there will be a defect either of justice or patience, of temperance, or madness or simplicity. Perhaps there will be a certain duplicity, haste, or laziness. The Holy Spirit, therefore, when he comes into the soul, connects true prudence and charity, the infused virtues, and even the acquired virtues, if previously there has been sufficient exercise to acquire them. Thus, all virtues grow together, says St. Thomas, like the 5 fingers of a hand. There is need right from the start to learn gradually and prudently to see all things in the light of faith, to judge and act always in its light. Pope Paul III, Apostolicum Actuositatem 29. Our call to act for justice comes from Jesus. In his greatest command, love one another as I have loved you, we hear the call to love as Jesus did. That means to bring everyone, but especially the poor, ill, frail, unwanted and outcast near to us, and show the kind of love that witnesses their innate dignity. The kind of love that shows that people are not alone or unwanted, the kind that says, I will stand with you and not stand by, while others run roughshod over your humanity. It must be the kind that says, I will love you as Jesus does, and for as long as he does. Jesus showed his love on the cross. Imperfect though our attempts will be, we are called to love that greatly, that deeply, that sacrificially. So, what is Catholic social teaching? Pope John Paul II wrote, the church social teaching finds its sources in sacred scriptures, beginning with the book of Genesis and especially in the gospel and the writings of the apostles. From the beginning, it was part of the church's teaching, developed by the teachings of the popes on the modern social question, beginning with the encyclical Rerum Novarum. This first great social teaching came in 1891 from Pope Leo XIII. Rerum Novarum, or Capital and Labor, raised issues such as the dignity of the human being and the importance of work being at the service of people and not the other way around. Pope Leo also presented the decidedly Catholic principle of preferential option for the poor. We have since had many other teachings right up to Pope Francis' 2015 encyclica Laudato Si on the care of our common home. Collectively, the Church has developed these teachings into a rich body of doctrines called Catholic social teachings. The Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace explains that CST is the expression of the way that the Church understands society and of her position regarding social structures and changes. The whole of the Church community, priests, religious, and laity, participates in the formulation of this social doctrine. We can distill the detailed and specific issues of CST into a few key principles. These should be our guiding way for all justice work. The dignity of the human person. Individual human beings are the foundation, the cause, and the end of every social institution. This was said by Pope John the 23rd. This is the very basis of all Catholic social teachings because it is based on the notion that we are each of God, for God, an expression of God. We have an inviolable dignity. Anything that is offensive to that dignity is unjust. This must be our continual reference point for identifying injustice and in determining the ways we respond. Ghana's coat of arms significantly bear the words freedom and justice without mentioning peace, simply because freedom and justice are the foundations on which peace and development will thrive. Justice is therefore a balance, a precondition to peace and cannot be reversed. Following on the recent 7th December 2012's parliamentary and presidential elections in Ghana, the word peace has done the rounds many times over, particularly from the propaganda machinery of the NDC, as well as from well-meaning but simplistic viewpoints of several other citizenry. It is therefore important to give a clear definition of both peace and justice to determine whether they are mutually exclusive concepts or that one cannot exist without the other. Wikipedia defines peace as follows: peace, a state of harmony characterized by the lack of violent conflict and the freedom from fear of violence, commonly understood as the absence of hostility. Wikipedia also defines justice as the notion of justice, a concept of moral rightness based on ethnics, rationality, law, natural law, religion, or equity. It is also the act of being just and or fair. I just say from the definitions given that it would be This ingenious to presume that peace is more important than justice. Indeed, by its very nature, the absence of fairness and justice is a recipe for inevitable absence of peace, that is hostility. Not to belabor the point, most violent revolutions have been as a result of the absence of justice and fairness. Slaves rose in rebellion against oppressive, unjust owners. The civil rights marches of Martin Luther King Jr. were against an unjust system of segregation. The unjust, unfair, the discriminatory apartheid regime in South Africa was violently resisted by the ANC and Nelson Mandela.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Can there be peace without justice? Well, if you really love that editorial, we will continue with the second part of that editorial by Thursday. So do well to join us on Thursday so that you do not miss the concluding part of this editorial titled, Can There Be Peace Without Justice? Of course, none. All right, and now sports. Harry Kane's equalizer 6 minutes into stoppage time earned Tottenham a dramatic draw as a fiery London derby at Stamford Bridge ended in an angry confrontation between Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte that resulted in red cards for both managers. Tempers were running high throughout as Chelsea twice led before Kane's glancing header seconds from the end gave Spurs a point. Now let's bring you the full report.
Latest world sports, football. Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte charged by FA after Chelsea vs Tottenham clash. Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte have each been charged by the Football Association following their clash on Sunday after the Premier League match between Chelsea and Tottenham. The pair were both sent off after an angry confrontation following the full-time whistle. As Spurs equalized 6 minutes into stoppage time, it is alleged that the behavior of both managers was improper. They have until Thursday, 18th August to respond to the charge. It follows an investigation launched by the FA into Tuchel's post-match comments about referee Anthony Taylor. The German suggested Taylor should not referee Chelsea matches in future. The Blues were furious that Taylor failed to penalize Rodrigo Bentancur for a challenge on fellow midfielder Kai Havertz in the build-up to Spurs' first equalizer. The resulting melee led to face-to-face fury between the two managers, which ended with Tuchel and Conte receiving yellow cards. But with tempers still running high, both men got involved in another spat at full-time and were sent off. However, the red cards do not trigger an automatic suspension, meaning both are almost certain to be in the dugout for next weekend's game. All India Football Federation, FIFA suspends AIFF over undue influence from third parties. India's Football Association has been suspended by FIFA because of undue influence from third parties. The suspension means the Women's Under-17s World Cup, set to begin in the country on 11th October, will not take place as planned. India's highest court has disbanded the All India Football Federation, AIFF, in May and appointed a 3-member committee to govern the sports. FIFA's member federations must be free from legal and political interference. World governing body FIFA and the Asian Football Confederation AFC have met India football stakeholders and laid down a roadmap for the AIFF, which has to change its rules by the end of July and hold elections by 15 September. The suspension will be lifted once an order to set up a committee of administrators to assume the powers of the AIFF Executive Committee has been repealed and the AIFF administration regains full control of the AIFF's daily affairs, FIFA added. FIFA is in constant constructive contact with the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports in India and is hopeful that a positive outcome to the case may still be achieved. Cycling. Tom Dumoulin announces immediate retirement from cycling. Former Giro d'Italia winner and double Olympic silver medalist Tom Dumoulin has announced his retirement from cycling with immediate effect. The Dutch cyclist posted his decision on Twitter 2 months after saying he would retire following September's Road World Championship in Australia. The 31-year-old won the Giro in 2017 and the World Time Trial title in the same year. The tank is empty, Dumoulin said on Twitter. I have decided to quit professional cycling with immediate effect. I still had one project on my wish list to end my career with a bang, the World Championship in Australia. I wanted to tackle that road to the World Championship the way I tackled the road to the Tokyo Olympics. But I noticed that I can't do it anymore. The legs feel heavy and the training sessions are not working out as I hoped. And I also need to do a good performance and have a good feeling at the World Championship. Dumoulin, who claimed 2-time trial Olympic silver medals and finished second in the 2018 Tour de France, added, even though the farewell didn't turn out the way I hoped, I look back on my career and incredible pride. I worked hard for it, took a lot of passion and pleasure from it for many years, and delivered brilliant performances.
And with that sports report, we have come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
We told you today that while Lebialem was drafted on Saturday, certain natives purportedly embraced auto development. Bad nature of womb road stopped circulations, and we also considered coup plotters debacle and the hell that colonizers have created of Ambazonia.
We reported activist Uchiba Nelson's part, where he brings the rhetorical question of who is Christopher Anus. Blackleg from Dongamantu County meets their Waterloo in Uncle Sam's country. We also told you in sports that Tuchel and Conte sent off as Chelsea and Spurs draw. And that was it for tonight Undaunted, bringing you the news on top stories. On behalf of Michael Anchor Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in. I am Onyi Okbala.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.